Hello everyone, I'm here with me and Chris hanging out, ready to give you guys a live update on what's going on with league play. But before we do that, I'm gonna sit here, and we ended up having to do this a little old school. Alright, got a couple people here. Hey guys, I hate talking to myself, so this is great. Alright, thanks for your patience. Sorry, they changed the streaming, and so my settings didn't work, and I just couldn't figure it out, so at least not quick enough to get this going, so thanks for your patience. Alright, how you guys doing out there? Can you hear me okay? Okay, I'll take that as a yes. Alright, so we got a lot to cover today, and first and foremost, what we want to make sure that you know is basically we're taking an unfortunate situation that we're all part of and just trying to make it the best that we possibly can. So we saw that with some of what APA did with their national events, with being able to change that over and keep still all the events. They haven't canceled anything, but change around the dates to get around this the best that we can. So that's kind of what we're going to see here a little bit is we had a couple of top priorities that we wanted to make sure that we kept at the top of what we thought was important as we restart league. So we're talking things like your guys' experience is super important to us, and so we were balancing your experience with the need for people to be able to get their matches up, and also make sure that we're doing it in a safe way that people are feeling comfortable past the corona situation. So basically we're looking at restarting league as of June 15th for the 8 and 9 ball formats. So that's a Monday, and that whole week we'll be restarting all the formats, assuming everything goes according to the governor's plan. And then we also have Masters that will be starting on Thursday, June 11th, so that Thursday before, to get started again. And so we left off at the end of last session at week we had 5 more weeks left, and so what we're doing is we're cutting down the number of weeks to continue play from that 5 down to 3 for 8 and 9 ball formats. So, and I've put together a calendar that I'll show you guys some stuff, but rather than having spring, so what we wanted to do is make sure that we could squeeze in a summer session for you guys, because if we skip summer session, it ends up being that we have only 1/3 of the teams that are qualifying to next year's state championships. So there was a really careful balance of trying to make sure that we create an opportunity for you guys to first off wrap up spring session. We didn't want to just say it's done, it's ended. So you guys are still given that competitive opportunity, but one of the most important things that we want to make sure captains are really paying attention to is your match requirements for state championships. And so as we all know, you need 4 matches to play in playoffs on your team per session, and so you'll have 3 more weeks to get those 4 in if you don't already have them. But we have the state championships that normally at the end of spring session, which we have 3 more weeks of, and then we have tri-cups and playoffs that all count towards spring session. The idea is that you'll need to have 10 matches by the end of that spring session for any brand, and that's lifetime matches. So this becomes a really important detail for team captains to keep an eye on, specifically for those people that are brand new to APA this session, or maybe they're brand new to, they've never played 9 ball before, so they're adding 9 ball this session. You have to have 10 matches played in the format that you're playing in state championships for. So pay attention to that. If there's any captains or any teammates that you're seeing might have an issue, because if there's 3 weeks left, is it possible for us to get to 10? And if we're playing in playoffs, make sure they play that match, can they get to 10? And then it's tri-cups, if they play at that, can they get to 10? Look through all those details, and if you have some serious concerns, like somebody on your team, it's not possible for them to get 10 matches, or if there's any concerns, just let us know sooner rather than later. That way we can kind of come up with some solutions. So one of the things that we want to encourage people to do is, especially because of this limiting time frame we have, is if you have a situation where somebody is trying to get their matches in to qualify for state, if team captains are willing to choose that person in a double play, generally we don't get involved in, you know, can we double play specifically this person? Well, we'd like to leave those rules the same just for consistency, and hopefully team captains will work with one another because we're all in the same position here. And in the end, you know, this is a community and we want to leave with good impressions and be able to accommodate people, because then in the future they may be accommodating us. And so we hope that you guys will give each other that courtesy. And again, if there's any concerns, you know, please let us know sooner rather than later. All right, I've got a couple things. All right, so we also want to point out that for Masters specifically, because that session is running 8 weeks, we are not going to be able to fit in a summer session for that format, and that's mainly just because Masters ran later than our 8 and 9 ball formats, so I know that that affects a few of you out there, but just a heads up, we're only going to have 2 sessions for our Masters league year for the 2020-2021 league year, so just be aware of that. There was no way we could work around it, unfortunately. So all right, so for the upcoming events, so I had this whole thing built out. It was going to be beautiful for you guys, and I couldn't get this stream to work, so instead I'm going to pull up an image of this. Let's see if I can flip this around somehow. Okay, so here's an image of the upcoming events. We were actually able to keep everything that we had planned on except for the last chance to state tournament. So for those of you that were aware of it last year, we had kind of this bonus opportunity to fill the bye at the state championships. There's just not even a way for us to keep that event. And so, additionally, APA changed the eligibility criteria, and so that particular event we are no longer able to run beginning next year anyway. So basically, because of this whole situation, we're just, you know, cutting it off a year early. Normally you'd see that tournament like come in right here before the state championships as a last chance, but that's the one event that we ended up changing. Oops. All right, a couple things to take note of. If you have plans of going to tri-cups, like if your team is in, you know, first, second, or third, and or you're hoping to go for the wild card spot, if you win your playoff match, you're looking at tri-cups being July 25th and July 26th. So those are really important dates. That affects a lot of people, but then also for those of you that are already qualified for the state championships, those dates right there, August 21st through the 23rd, and then 8-ball the 28th through the 30th. And so as a reminder, APA has moved that World Pool Championship event to the week of Thanksgiving, actually. It was the only dates that they could get with such short notice. These are normally planned out years in advance. And so they were able to squeeze in the 8-ball team event, 9-ball team event, your Masters, and your ladies events the week of Thanksgiving. And so the state championships is the event we will have to qualify teams to that event. So definitely we'll be posting these images. We'll give you this information so that you have it in other ways. But basically good news when it comes to, we were able to keep all of our events. Couple of good things that we want to point out is we have the 8-ball Scotch Doubles Vegas qualifier that we still need to run. We have a Jack and Jill Vegas 8-ball Scotch Doubles. We also have the Captains Team Championships, and APA has actually given us a bonus captain spot, and all the doubles and the captains events will again be in August, that week that we would normally be doing our team events in Vegas. So just be aware of that, but our events are coming and then it's 30 days later you guys are in Vegas. And so when you're considering whether or not you want to compete in those events, just be aware that it is a short timeline, and, you know, I wish it were different, you know, so it is what it is, but we'll get it taken care of. Let's see here, make sure questions aren't getting carried away. All right, so we're going to be starting back up the June 15th and June 11th, just so you guys know, as a quick recap on that one. All right. Thomas, that looked like a really specific question, so maybe I'll chat with you about that one, Thomas Freinwald. Yes, Ashley, we will be posting that schedule of events in the community board, on the APA app, as well as on our main Facebook page, so it'll be all over the place, and then you can see the upcoming events. We're going to slowly start rolling those out as events that you can sign up for and keep in your Facebook events and that kind of thing as well. Normal APA starts back up the 15th for the week of the 15th of June. All right. Okay, so cover a couple of those questions, and then I'll address more kind of later on, but there's definitely a lot of things I want to cover. So one thing that you guys want to be aware of is kind of what's happened with, I don't know how much you've followed with regard to the governors coming out with these phase openings, and right now we're in phase 2, which the next phase is expected to be May 30th, and that's basically the phase where bars are being able to open back up, and then a couple of weeks after that, the governor, their plan, basically, they're thinking that there will no longer be restrictions on capacity, but they're recommending, still continuing the social distancing. So that's basically why we timed starting league when we did, is because it sounded like it had given enough time and space for people to understand kind of what the aftermath of this whole thing looks like. And so June 15th, and the Double Jeopardy Jack would start the following Sunday, because you guys, for Double Jeopardy, you guys did technically play that last week, and then we stopped league the next day. And so you're 1 week ahead of everyone else. We'll start league June 15th in that week, and then it would be the following Sunday, the 20th, 21st approximately. That would be awesome, Ashley. Thank you. All right, so what we did in the meantime is we've been contacting all these bars and kind of getting ideas as to what they're looking at for expectations. And from our standpoint, we're basically going to ask that you follow whatever each bar that you're in may have different guidelines, and actually for the most part what they're going to be following is the governor's guidelines for social distancing. Masks have not been required, and so most bars are not requiring them, with a couple of exceptions. So the two exceptions that I've heard of from all the APA bars that we work with is that Jumpin' Janet's sounds like, as of right now, and this could change in 2 weeks, things have been very quick to change with all of this, and so Jumpin' Janet's does plan on requiring masks currently, and then the other one was the Pocket will be taking temperatures, and so if somebody is running a high temperature, they're going to ask them to abstain from their facility until the next day, maybe coming back. And some of those guidelines, they haven't opened with that just yet, and so some of those guidelines will be better defined as we go along. So that's the only exception to just a general guideline of, continue practicing some of the things that you've heard of over the past while. Most of the staff will be wearing masks at the facility. They're just not requiring you to do so. And they're also increasing the frequency of their how often they sanitize, and they are offering products for you to keep clean, as far as the what's that stuff called again? Oh, Chris left. So the hand sanitizer, that's what it was. So some of the bars will have that stuff available for you. Our personal recommendation is definitely, if you guys are concerned about, having that extra level of precaution, is take it upon yourself to bring those supplies with you just in case. I know a lot of these businesses, they've been out of work for 2-3 months. I know we've been shut down that long, and so there's going to be a lot of, they have these extra expectations, but they're also hurting from being closed down for so long. And so, if we can take it upon ourselves as a community to take responsibility for that, then it's going to just help everybody. If some locations are requiring masks, what I would do is just throw a bandana or, a mask that you're comfortable with into your pool bag and have it with you just in case. But from our side, we're not going to be asking that you wear masks unless you feel it's appropriate for your situation. But we are asking you to follow all the host location rules that they're setting up. All right. Let's see here. So some of the things that we wanted to help out with is that we understand that some people, even though the way it sounds is that things are going to be opening up and coming to a much more lax approach to this whole thing about mid-June. And so what that means is hopefully people are feeling more comfortable. But again, if there's any illness or if you're sick or anything, we are going to require that you stay home. And so team captains, I know that puts us all in a tough position sometimes. And so we just wanted to offer something that made it a little bit easier. So right now you can double play one person is the normal standard rule for matches. And what we're going to allow is for people to actually double play two people. The same rules apply where the other team gets to choose who plays. And then if you need to have a conversation of, hey, can you pick this person? Because, we're trying to get their matches, or, so-and-so doesn't have money, or, whatever the situation is, having that conversation with the other team captain up front goes a long way. That's what I usually do. And it's very, many people are willing to accommodate, but then if they're not for some reason, make sure that you're respectful of that decision. But we're just asking that people be more flexible with that kind of stuff, given this unique situation. And so you will be able to double play two people on a league night if you're short on players. Yeah, good question. So Thomas, the double play, will it be for the rest of the session? Yes, it will be for the rest of spring session, which again for the 8 and 9 ball formats is only 3 weeks. So once we start, we're looking at wrapping up and doing playoffs. And don't hate me, but playoffs are going to be the week of the 4th of July. I believe 4th of July is on a Sunday, and so playoffs, I couldn't avoid it. It ends up falling that Sunday, July the 5th. And so you will not be able to double play during playoffs. That's still a rule that APA has, but for the regular session, feel free to use that as needed. And then it may even continue into fall session. It just kind of depends on how this whole thing rolls out. But the most important thing is we're being accommodating to help basically this community and captains being able to manage their teams given this situation. And so common sense will prevail. So we'll just kind of keep up that conversation. Yeah, good question. Thanks, Thomas. All right. Also, one thing I wanted to point out is that, and this is tricky, is that make sure that when you're doing the double play and the opponent is choosing who's double playing, make sure you do that quick math on whether or not you're meeting that 23 skill level cap, because that's still a thing. It's still required. You have to stay within 23. And what I've seen in some cases is that the captain maybe didn't look at that or just assumed that they were choosing somebody that they could, and when it ends up being a forfeit as a result of going over 23, that just sucks. And so team captains, if you're having somebody else choose your roster because of the double play, just do a quick math, and then if there's only one person that they can choose because of that 23 rule, I usually just tell them up front, oh, hey, we can only play a 3, to stay within the 23, so here's your option. Oh, that's funny. Good one, Mike. So Virginia, maybe clarify your question. What determines that team that plays? So let me know a little bit more on what you mean with that, and I'll answer your question. All right. So while she's doing that, I'm going to just make sure I didn't miss anything. So one thing we did want to check with is to see how all the bars are doing and make sure that they're hanging in there. And we were actually really excited to hear that for the most part, bars are still doing great. And there is, one bar that we know of that has closed as a result of this, and that's the Steel Horse Saloon. So make sure that when you guys see Rob Fry, you give him a big hug and you share the love and I know he's planning on opening up another shop somewhere, but as far as the Steel Horse, if you're currently playing out of that bar, we'll need to switch up your locations, and I've spoken to all the team captains in that boat, but just be aware that that's, one bar that will not be around anymore, unfortunately. The last 3 weeks, what teams are chosen? Oh, so the last 3 weeks of the session are going to be just continuing where we left off. So if you were going to play, then, had we continued playing, you would just play those same rotation of teams, but only 3 weeks out instead of 5, and then it drops off the last 2 weeks of the session, and those matches just don't exist, is what happens. And that was the only way we could barely squeeze in a summer session for you guys, so it's very tight. Yes, and Jeremy, I did hear about that. Thank you. So one thing I'll mention is we normally give 1 week off between sessions, just, your guys' breather, our breather, and to get the session set up. Unfortunately, in order to fill out complete a summer session, we weren't able to do that this time. So it's basically going to be pretty intense. And for those of you that have competed at state championships and everything, you know that we have those 45 days of tournaments. So it's very much going to be that same thing plus a couple of tournaments. So just prepare yourselves mentally. We're a strong community. We're going to get through it, just fine. We're happy and ready and excited to run these events. And so we know that you guys want to play in the events, but it's just prepare yourself and maybe prepare your teammates that haven't competed at this level, because it is a lot of tournaments, especially if you're trying to get those bonus Vegas qualifiers. You want to be mentally ready for that, because, this is how champions are made. We're going to fight for it, so it's a lot of work. All right, so price increase. Yes, that's exactly what I had next on my list, Virginia. Perfect. So from a price increase perspective, last year we put out in October that the fees were going to be going up from the $35 per team per week to $40, and that was going to give us things like the singles qualifier. Oops, I had my list pulled up. Let me pull that up again. I had this all laid out differently for you guys, and now I have to figure out where it's at. Okay. All right, so we were able to do the singles qualifier tap out as just a flat increase, or a flat entry fee, compete as many times as you want, instead of paying the $10 and then having a $100 regional entry fee, a $50 entry fee for the day to basically come out and get qualified, or as many attempts until you get qualified or we have to tap out. So that was definitely a pretty big expense, as well as the electronic scorekeeping and the electronic payment systems. And also we are doing prize events at summer events, and also the cash added for the Vegas events, which is awesome. And so the price increase is going to be for summer session. So the 3 weeks for spring session, where we're wrapping that up, and then playoffs, it's just, the same as where we left off. And then the fee increase would begin, I didn't look at the dates on that. Let's see. It would be July, no, that's wrong year, actually. July 13th would be the first week that, or the week of July 12th would be the first week that fees are increased. Yes, and then, let's see here. And that's for, and I do want to point out that the fee increase for the 8 and 9 ball format is different than Masters, because Masters is running out through 8 weeks, because they're not lined up, those formats are not lined up to the same dates. Instead, it would be October 1st is the first week for, the fee increase for Masters format, for those of you that are curious about that one. So yeah, be aware of that. I mean, we want to point out also that as far as the events, so we there's several events that were slated and budgeted to be spring events. And so one thing to be aware of is things like the 8-ball doubles event, the captain's team championship, all these events that were scheduled in spring session that we couldn't run for you because of this thing. Those will be basically the same that we had committed to for the spring session, and then the perks for the fee increase will begin with the Jack and Jill tournament and the ladies tournament. So we'll have some perks for those ones because those were summer session events, but we want to make sure that you guys know that even though technically we're now running the 8-ball doubles and the captain's team championships so late, they don't get the same perks that the summer session changes will get because, it wasn't, we had to push those because of Corona basically. So just be aware of that. And of course, when we put out our, sign up here and details, information, we'll make sure we spell that out for you so that you know exactly what those perks are. So George, I appreciate your comment. The reason why we put starting league so far out in mid-June is because the governor has specifically stated that as far as the capacity restrictions that are currently happening, bars are opening up May 30th and they have capacity restrictions. Well, beginning mid-June, if everything goes according to these phase reopenings, there is no there's not going to be the same capacity restrictions, and so limiting people at the bar, like we didn't want to start league at a time when you can't come out and enjoy your team, because that's what it's all about. And so we knew that would put a lot of stress on captains to have you guys coming in and scheduling people. It just changes the feel of, I think, the entire experience. And also, it's not, according to the governor's plan, it's not something that will be needed by mid-June. So, just like everything in this entire situation, it's so basically it's there's not a need to take those precautions at that point, basically, is what the thought is. And that's why we delayed starting league until mid-June. Kevin, I'm not sure I quite understand your question. So if you want to re-ask it in a different way, then I'll be happy to answer that one for you as well. All right. So that's pretty much what we wanted to update you on. Let me just double check here. For at least the situation with Corona, we did want to kind of set expectations and what our plans are as soon as we restart league. We're doing the electronic scorekeeping, so all divisions will be on electronic scorekeeping for 8 and 9 ball. The electronic scoring is not available on Masters or doubles, which I haven't talked about just yet, but all divisions will be on electronic scoring. And so what we plan on doing is over the next week or so, Chris and I are going to set up a match, and I'm probably going to win, hopefully, but we're going to play a 9-ball match. I'm going to be able to set up the app to where you can actually see what I'm doing during the match. Here's how we mark innings, here's how we mark this point went down for Charisse, of course, and then that kind of thing. So you'll be able to see my screen as well as what we're doing on the table. I'm going to set it up to where you can actually see all that stuff as well. So we're going to have some training on the scorekeeping app for both 9-ball, and then after I beat Chris in 9-ball, I'm going to also try to beat him in 8-ball. So you'll get to see, for all divisions and all team captains that haven't seen that app, it's really slick. Some of the feedback we've heard from other team captains is that it's actually encouraging more people to get involved in the Chris is over there laughing. It's encouraged more people on the team to get involved in and familiar with scorekeeping. And so it's taken some stress off of that. So yeah, we're really excited. The scorekeeping app, we're really excited to see what it does for 9-ball, because in 8-ball it was really successful. So keep an eye out for that. I haven't picked a date just yet when we'll do that match, but that is coming up. we will be getting those new team captains. We'll make arrangements. The new team captains for the electronic scoring will be making arrangements to get you binders as well. If you had like pencils or different things in your team packet, we're going to be grabbing those and we put them in your binder for you. So that there will also be some quick tips on electronic scorekeeping, you know, your official team manual, things like that. Also your paper score sheets. So as of right now, during the testing phase, which for 9-ball, we've been granted access to this scorekeeping app because we're in the testing group. And so by basically while we're in testing, you're also filling out, the loser of the coin toss on league night is filling out the score sheet on paper and in the app. And usually what I do as a team captain is I'm just keeping score in the app, and then after each rack in 9-ball or in 8-ball, I just transfer the information from the app onto the score sheet. So I'm not trying to do both at the same time. I'm just transferring it so that if there's ever an issue, then you basically would have the backup as a paper copy. Okay, Kevin, gotcha. So, Kevin, so you were wondering why the fees keep increasing. We actually haven't had an increase in the fees since 2012, or 2016. So this was a fee increase that, frankly, the ad national is probably closer to $8 or $40 or even $50 is more commonly where the league fees are at. But the reality is league fees increase because we're here to add value, and the opportunities that we can bring to you guys by simply $1 increase per match are just incredible. And so what we did is we put out last October, and that's maybe why you're thinking that there was more increases, because we've been talking about this since October. But the reality is that the increase is just barely happening in summer session when we wrap up the spring session. And so, but that's why the fees increase is, it's just, like inflation, I guess, it's just one of those things. But fortunately, that it hasn't happened for a while, and the nice thing is you guys are getting a lot of perks as a result of that, too. So it really is a change for the better, because there's so much more value that we can bring for you. The other thing, speaking of value, is that we are going to roll out Scotch doubles format. So we thought this would be a fantastic bonus opportunity. So the way that Vegas opportunities work, just so you guys know, is that the more teams that we have locally, the more things that we qualify for. And so with us having, for example, we were only one team away from getting a second spot to Vegas for the 9-ball team championships. And so, just those tiny little, and we work really hard to try to get to those thresholds. One, because when we go to Vegas, it's an incredible party. It's an incredible party down there, and the environment, and so we just think it's the more people that can experience that, it's an incredible opportunity. And so we work really hard to try to build teams to get us to that level as well. And the Scotch doubles format, as you may recall, is over the years we've had we're usually given at least one spot in 8-ball Scotch doubles and one spot in 9-ball Scotch doubles. But by us having a format, a league that is specifically designed to this format, not only can we have a tournament to qualify teams for those specific events, but we can have a league that brings even more opportunity through weekly league play. And so we're going to roll that out as of August 12th. That we think will be a pretty exciting format, and it'll be easy to field teams because Scotch doubles, it's 2 people. You will have the opportunity to have a third person, and it'll be a double Jeopardy Scotch doubles. So you'll be qualifying in both 8-ball Scotch doubles and 9-ball Scotch doubles, with your partner. And we'll have more information about that as we go along, but we wanted to let you know that's, one thing we were really excited to roll out before Corona, and we didn't know if we'd still be able to do it, but we're going to give it a shot. So, let's see here. All right. I think that's about everything I wanted to cover. Do you guys feel like I missed anything? Do you have any questions about this stuff? And then while you're thinking about all your questions, let me tell you that the let's see. Basically, we're going to be relying on team captains to touch base with teammates and just make sure that if there's anything that we can do to help you, please let us know. So we're basically moving forward with, starting the week of June 11th for Masters and the week of June 15th for the 8 and 9 ball formats. And then we are, we're asking that team captains contact all their teammates and just touch base with them and make sure, if there's any issues, nicely done. If there's any issues with your teammates or any concerns, let's have a conversation about this stuff sooner rather than later. We're asking that you communicate any serious concerns. For example, my team might not be able to make it back. We're asking that you communicate those type of details to us by July, I don't even know what month we're in anymore, but June 8th, which is 1 week before we actually restart. That way we can get on top of it early rather than later. It's a very fine balance because creating buys in the schedule, we just want to point out, teams, we really ask you do everything that you can to finish these last 3 weeks because basically, let's say we have 10 teams in a division and one team drops out. Well, that creates a buy in the schedule where now teams are no longer getting 3 matches, they're getting 2. And that could be the difference between somebody qualifying for state championships and not. So, just be really, let us know how you can help, how we can help. We're here for that kind of stuff. And if you have somebody that doesn't feel comfortable coming back and you've got an opening on your team, great, let's have that conversation because I actually have people that are looking for teams. And so we want to, help out where we can. So conversations sooner rather than later are always better. Yes, Joaquin, thanks for joining us. So, in fact, I'm going to do this because I think a lot of people might want to see this again. I'm going to throw up this calendar that we put together, and this is basically all the events that we have coming up and all the dates that we ended up having to change. So take a look at this. And you guys will be happy to know the most valuable player tournament, and if everything doesn't get pushed back again, we were able to keep that with the same date. So that was kind of a win, actually. But you can see right here, you've got your Tri-Cup tournaments in late July, your state championships, late August. We do have a bunch of bonus Vegas qualifier opportunities, guys. In fact, one thing I forgot to mention is this Dust Off the Rust 8-ball singles qualifier. We've got division reps that are excited to run an event for you that weekend, which is June 13th. It's a Saturday, and basically it's a double elimination singles qualifier board. So it's an opportunity for those of you that are worried about, do we, just go back in? How's this going to affect skill levels? Can we get some practice time? That kind of stuff. This would be a great opportunity to do that. It's broken down by skill level too, which is really neat. And so the way it works is double elimination. 16 people are on a board, and you end up getting 5 people qualified of those 16. And again, that's our regional singles event that you're qualifying for to compete in your own skill level at regionals, and then ultimately in Vegas for the first place prize of either $10,000 for 9-ball or $15,000 for 8-ball. So a really incredible opportunity. There's just not another singles program like that out there in really any amateur sport. And so it's a fantastic opportunity, and we hope everybody takes advantage of it. But that's the Dust Off the Rust 8-ball singles qualifier. Shout out to Justin Mays, and I believe he said Danny Watkins would be running the second one, but we're going to have it broken up by skill levels 2 through 5, or let's see here, 2 through 2 and 3, 4 and 5, and then 6s and 7s. And so you'll get to compete in your own skill level, which is great. Of course, with enough interest. And then also the Vegas, Captain Team Championships, the Jack and Jill 8-ball Scotch doubles. All of those are fantastic opportunities just above and beyond your league play that are coming up, as well as that 8-ball ladies Vegas qualifier. And so those are just one-day fee entry tournaments that you can hop into for kind of these bonus opportunities that we hope you all will take advantage of. All right, and like I said, whoops. Hello. Like I said, we will post that image as well as, you know, just another fact sheet that I think might be helpful. Sign me up for the 13th. Awesome. We will, and Joaquin, we will send out a link to let you guys all sign up for those events. And so over the next couple of days, I'll be slowly rolling out these things that you can start signing up for. So exciting times, but we're finally at the end, basically, is what it's looking like. All right. Any other questions that you guys have? Anything that we can do for you? We hope you're hanging in there okay. We miss seeing your beautiful faces. It's been super weird not having tournaments every other weekend, but we miss you guys and hope you're hanging in there okay. And we'll get through this. It'll be, you know, we're seeing the end in sight, and actually there's a lot of optimism. I know that sometimes what you hear on the media and sometimes what you hear out there is just a lot of scary stuff, but after talking with, you know, team captains, some of the players in the league, bar owners, like there's just a lot of optimism, and so hope, you know. The Jack and Jill tournament, George, we've got scheduled for June 27th. So you'll see the links come out for those things slowly as we get events put together, and Facebook events and in the app and all that kind of stuff. So you'll see those come out. And then we'll do the text messages as well. But any other questions? Let me just scroll here and see if I got everything. Oh, Thomas, you asked about league fees going up when we resume, or is it summer session? It is summer session. So again, we're going to come back from league, and we have 3 weeks for the 8 and 9 ball formats, and that will be your regular league fees because we're picking up where we left off with spring session. And then the league dues won't be increasing until we start summer session. So that'll be, Chris posted there, June 27th. Oh, never mind, that was for the Jack and Jill. But it's when summer session starts after playoffs. You guys are most welcome. X's and O's, much love to y'all. I think I got all the questions. Aw, love you guys. Matches to play on the 13th. Good question. Yes, I was going to cover this, and then I didn't want to bombard you guys with too much. So, Joaquin's question is, how many matches do you need to play in for the 13th tournament? And the answer is you need 20 matches. So it's basically the rule of thumb is any event that you play in that you're not playing in league, you need 20 matches. And so the Jack and Jill, we don't have a league format like that, so they want your skill level to be super solid, and you would need 20 matches by the tournament date in specifically in 8-ball, just to be clear on that one. And so that, and also you need to have played in spring session at least 4 matches. I think everybody that's in this Facebook Live thing it fits into that category that you were playing spring, but just as a heads up, not only do you need the 20 matches within the past 2 years, but you also need to have played 4 matches in spring session. Oh, you guys are so sweet. Miss your faces. Miss your faces tons and tons. Yeah. But yeah, a lot of good things coming. So we look forward to seeing you guys soon. If there's anything that we can do, let us know, and we'll just keep up the conversation as we roll closer to this. But keep an eye out for that scorekeeping stuff, because I'm pretty excited to see what you guys think of it. So, if there aren't any other questions, Marcus is looking for a partner for the Jack and Jill Scotch doubles, which means he needs a lady. Marcus, you're a skill level 4 these days, right? All right, maybe not. So Marcus is a 6. He needs a skill level 4 or lower. Just a reminder, in Scotch doubles, it's a max skill level of 10. So you guys are too funny. Love you guys. Awesome. Showing the love, Tim. No, you didn't, Todd. You're just in time. Fashionably late. So, but we'll be recording this, by the way. So if you had teammates that couldn't make it, we'll download the image and get it posted to the app as well as just our regular Facebook so that people can find it down the road. And then Todd, 50 lashings. Soft 3. I don't believe it. Yeah. All right. Love y'all. Be safe out there. We're almost through this. End in sight. We'll see you guys on the tables in no time. So much love to y'all.